What would you do if the person you once loved became the one person you feared the most? Today's story is not just about domestic violence. It's about survival, unimaginable cruelty, and the strength to rebuild a life after everything was taken away. This is the true story of Margarita Gracheva. In December 2017, 25-year-old Margarita Gracheva was living what looked like a normal life in Russia. She was a young mother with 2 children. From the outside, everything seemed ordinary, but behind closed doors, her marriage had become a nightmare. Her husband, Dmitry Gracheva, was extremely controlling, jealous, and obsessed with the idea that Margarita was being unfaithful. At first, it was emotional abuse. Then came the threats. Then the violence. In December 2017, 25-year-old Margarita Gracheva was living what looked like a normal life in Russia. She was a young mother with 2 children. From the outside, everything seemed ordinary, but behind closed doors, her marriage had become a nightmare. Her husband, Dmitry Gracheva, was extremely controlling, jealous, and obsessed with the idea that Margarita was being unfaithful. At first, it was emotional abuse. Then came the threats. Then the violence. On December 11, 2017, Margarita and Dmitry dropped their children off at daycare like any normal morning. Nothing seemed unusual. Then Dmitry told her he wanted to talk privately. Instead of driving home, he took her to a remote forest outside the city. It was cold, snow covered the ground. There was no one around. Margarita later said she immediately felt terrified. Dmitry ordered her out of the car and forced her to stand near a tree. Then he told her to place her hands on it. She begged him to stop. She cried. She pleaded for mercy. But he showed none. Dmitry pulled out an axe and brutally chopped off both of Margarita's hands. What happened next shocked even investigators. Instead of fleeing, Dmitry placed Margarita, bleeding and barely conscious, back into the car and drove her to the hospital. He even brought the severed hands with him in a box. Doctors immediately rushed her into emergency surgery. After hours of operations, surgeons managed to save one of her hands, but the other was too badly damaged to reattach. Later, Margarita would receive a bionic prosthetic hand. The case quickly spread across Russia and sparked national outrage. People began asking the same question. If the police had taken her earlier reports seriously, could this have been prevented? Dmitry Gracheva was arrested and later sentenced to 14 years in prison. But for Margarita, the damage could never truly be undone. Her entire life had changed forever. Many people believed Margarita would never recover emotionally from what happened. But instead of disappearing from public life, she chose to speak out. She became one of the most recognized voices against domestic violence in Russia. She appeared on television, shared her story publicly, and inspired thousands of abuse survivors around the world. Remarkably, she even gave her prosthetic hand a nickname, the Transformer Hand. Over time, Margarita rebuilt her life. She found love again. She remarried. And she refused to let the attack define who she was. Today, her story stands as a symbol of survival, resilience, and courage. One moment of violence changed Margarita Gracheva's life forever, but the person who tried to destroy her never succeeded in breaking her spirit. Her story is a reminder that domestic abuse should never be ignored, because sometimes the warning signs come long before the tragedy. If this story moved you, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to True Love Diaries for more real and disturbing true stories. And remember, sometimes surviving is the greatest act of strength of all.